morning, guys. How you doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I am Ted Davies, and this is Ted Davies Artistry TED Talks, and we are interviewing one of my favorite uh, people, I guess, in the comic book industry, Onrie Kompan. He's one of the guys that gave me my first interview, and he's just awesome. I one of our things that we want to talk about today is pivoting during the pandemic and how we're getting through this, how we're making our way through this, how we're doing it safely, and how economics have changed a bit, but we're still striving, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, if you're a creative and you're trying to get through this pandemic still, this should show you a pathway of how he and I both got through a lot of this. So. We'll talk quickly about that. If people don't know about me, my name's Ted Davies again. My background is I'm an artist, an author, and a collector, and I collect a lot of things from different things, from books, comic books, to watches, even cigars for that matter. And we've got shows like that, just about everything I just announced on my YouTube channel, Ted Davies Artistry. So please check that out. And today, going through my list here, as you get older, I just turned 50 last week. So as you get older, you have to have lists because your mind wanders a bit. So first off, though, I did get my vintage Star Wars t-shirt for my birthday. Booyah. Thank you very much, Christine. I appreciate that. My wife got it for me for one of the things she got me for my birthday. And now I got the vintage, finally got my vintage Star Wars t-shirt. Was in the lineup back in 1977 for the show. Got to see it when I was 6 years old. Got the poster, and now I got the shirt. So let's talk about my sponsor, Indian River Roasting Company. Today I have Columbus Beach in my coffee cup. It is my favorite. It's my go-to. I got it for my birthday because that's how Pete and the rest of the gang roll up in Indian River. They are awesome. And let's check them out. Here at Ted Davies Artistry, we take coffee seriously. And so does our sponsor, Indian River Roasting Company. It's fair trade, organic, and they're artisans just like me. The only difference is I use watercolor and ink and they use coffee beans. And I enjoy it all through my day. So do yourself a favor, go to the description when you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Find Indian River Roasting Company's website. Use the promo code CaffeinateTed2021 and save 10% on your purchase. So check out in the description Indian River Roasting Company's website and use promo code CaffeinateTed2021. Save 10% on what you're buying and get caffeinated. We also have a second sponsor. John Cashman was good enough from Cashman's Comics in Bay City, Michigan. He is my go-to for all my comic books for one, he sells everything that I make, which is fantastic in itself. And he's a gentleman and scholar for that. But as far as being close to home, it's always nice having the local comic shop, and he is definitely my go-to. So let's talk a little bit about that. I am going to be doing some changes to the promo, and we're going to be kicking that volume up a bit and doing a few other things. John also is in a band that actually does this type of promo music as well. So here you go.
I wake up feeling the same way now. Need to find something to believe. Every night the dreams we make, they're haunting my head.
So yeah, if you got a hankering for some comics in Michigan or nationwide for that matter, get a hold of John. He's awesome. He ships all over the place. He does well doing that. He, like I said before, Amazon has nothing on him. He does a great job shipping everything across the continent here. So check him out. And I want to also bring you up to speed on what else we got going. Rising Tide Broadcast Network is who I'm affiliated with. Ted Davies Artistry is proud to be part of this group. creatives that help creatives build their business. We're on 7 days a week. We've got a lot going on. Tuesdays, TED Talks, that starts it out pretty much, but we end up finishing out the day with Brian. And Brian K. Morris is a force to be reckoned with, as everybody knows on this network. He is Clever Title Pending is kind of a staple for 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, and I suggest that you guys check it out because he's always got some good characters on there, good creators, and I think that you guys are going to enjoy watching that. Of course, during the work week, I have a couple other shows too. TED Talks Timepieces on Thursday, which is we have a mystery watch that we're going to be unveiling. It's actually one of my favorite watches that was given to me years ago, and I want to show that to you a little bit more. And then, of course, Friday at 6 o'clock, we have got Drinking with the Davies, which showcases mixology of different drinks, vintage drinks, little retro drinks with a little bit of fusion with new things happening with it. And this weekend, Christine and I are working on the Dirty Martini, and it is an awesome drink. I don't know how I'm going to really like it per se, but I'm going to try it, and we're going to see if Ted likes martinis. I don't know. We'll have to see if that is something that strikes my fancy. I don't know. Before we bring Onrie on, I want to say good morning to everybody. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Carl. Vexeria Box. Hello, Lisa. How you doing? I want to thank Lisa again and everybody here for the big success that Grim 101 is taken off. We've done very, very well with this. We've fully funded in 13 hours. Thanks to everybody, mostly everybody on the call, I'm sure, and I appreciate everybody else that's out there that's actually invested in it and taking time and money to make this journey happen. I appreciate it greatly, and we're looking forward to the next stretch goal. We hit the $1,000 mark, $1,000 mark, so we got the digital wallpaper. We're stretching towards that $2,000 goal here, and it's happening. So be part of the journey. Check us out, Ted Davies Artistry at Kickstarter with Grim 101. Okay, let's just look at the comments here before we bring Onrie on. And I just want to thank everybody again. Let's see. Let me just go through this. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you have any questions, hey, Glenn. So we're global too, guys. So make sure that you guys, if you like and enjoy this, try to share it out. That would be awesome for us. Thank you. No further ado. There's the man.
The man is in the house. What is going on? I was actually just getting ready to back your Kickstarter campaign.
Thank you.
And in fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. And I want everybody who's watching the show, if you haven't backed Ted's Grim 101 Kickstarter, don't be a fool like me and wait until after the launch. Just do it now. Ted, you will see a contribution in here in just a second. And actually, here's a question for you. As you know, I am a dealer, and I would like to stock your books, and I would like to have you on for virtual signing at some point. Do you got some kind of reward where I can get a couple copies of your book at like a wholesale price or something like that? Some kind of
we will work that out. Not a problem. I've got my manager, Lisa Malone, on here, and we will make sure that you are taken care of. Lisa, you've got. We'll get you Onrie's information, and you guys can make some stuff happen. We'll do that virtual signing. Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that too, because it's one of the pivotal things about what you're doing right now. But don't let me interrupt. We'll wait. We'll wait for you.
This is your show, my friend. I am in your house, and it's an honor to be here. I appreciate you asking me to be here. I love when people ask me to be.
It's my privilege. One of the things about Onrie is you gave me one of my first interviews when I last year, a little bit before. We ended up meeting on one of the shows, and I forget what it was. We were talking about creatives. We were on together, and then right afterward, you sent me a message, said, "Hey, I want you on the show. You're completely crazy and nuts. I want you on the show for a couple minutes so we can talk." And I said, "Cool." So, and at the time I was bringing out Albino Zulu, and the Retrieve already was starting to take off, and this is before Retrieve got scripted for options, so it was even before then. So Albino Zulu, I sent you a copy over. Your kids, you downloaded it, you colored it up, and when you had me on, that was kind of nice. That was a fun thing. And You know, Onrie and I have gone back and forth. One of the, I mean, Onrie, for those who don't know, Onrie is somebody to, as far as an independent creator, is somebody to aspire towards, because the epic, I mean, you tell them about your epic that's been out for the last 10
tell
years.
them about my
What?
Yes, it has, and my copies of it are in the other room here.
It's all right.
But,
I've got them right here, but we should have had this
He's
ready.
got
Sorry,
'em.
guys. Huh?
As
I've got them right
Excellent.
here. I should just look back on here. But in any case, tell them about it while I'm looking through these, and I'll pull them up so you can see them. Go ahead, tell them.
absolutely. So,
Let me pull you up the full screen though. Hold on, and then that way
actually,
okay, do your thing.
Look
Sell
at that.
it.
It's all mine. Yes, I love it. So for the last 10 years, I have been creating and self-publishing my own comic book series called Yi Sun Shin, which is about a Korean admiral that battled the Japanese in the 1500s. And he was outnumbered 10-1 against them. And he beat them 23 times in a row and never lost a single battle. And this is all based on a true story. This all actually happened. And I don't have any copies of it right now.
I'm looking. Hold on. I'm looking.
Ted's got it. He's going to show you guys. But basically, what was I doing for the last 10 years? I was going to conventions and selling my comics at conventions, and then COVID hit. And suddenly all that was how I was making a living. And I was getting really good at what I was doing. In 2019, we crossed this benchmark where we managed to get we managed to finally reach a goal that was pretty huge for us. We sold over 100,000 copies, and we had over 250,000 copies in print now. So check that bad boy out. Look at that. And
and that's just one of the, I mean, the series. It's incredible.
Yeah. So Yi Sun Shin's a trilogy of books like Star Wars.
Right.
And that's the very first issue, and you can get the first 4 books for only $10. And I'll sign it for you. You can also get the first or the next 4, which is the second arc. That's going for under 10.
Yep.
And then we have our 9th issue. And now we're working on our 10th issue, and we'll be hopefully taking that to Kickstarter sometime in the fall of this year.
Yes. Let me show them the cover on the number 1. And this is the second.
Yeah, that's Fallen Avenger 1.
Oh, that's so wicked. The storyline, my books are more. It's this the digital art just incredible that you've got on this. Whoever, I mean, the story is one thing, but and this is why it's survived for so long. There's the story that he's put together here, guys. If you don't have it in your collection, it's a real shame, because I really think you, as a collector, for me, not just knowing you, but the story, the way that you've adapted, you've got a lot of different facets to the story. It's not just about killing and everybody getting hacked up and all that. It's not like that at all. When you really look at the deeper side of it, there's a lot of different relations and things in this that are very today. You know what I mean? It's very, when you really look at it and break it down. So, I mean, you guys look at the story for what it is. Yeah, it is graphic. It's not, I wouldn't have, say, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old bedtime story. This isn't something like that. But
7-year-old, it's okay though. Once you hit 7 years old, it's 7-11. That's what I say.
But they are proudly in my collection, and that's why I should have had them ready. I apologize to all the people here. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Keep going.
What were you saying? I didn't hear you.
No, I said I should have been the one who was prepared, not you.
Oh, it's all good.
You're a fantastic guy.
Jeffrey Hayes says definitely gorgeous cover, and it is. I mean, and Jeffrey's the one. He'll tell you if he doesn't think something's gorgeous, he won't say a word. So if he gives you props, that's good. So that's okay. I wanted people at least to get an idea that you're just not some flash in the pan. This is it. I mean, you were. If you go to your YouTube channel, Onrie, what's your YouTube? Is it Onrie Kompan?
Yeah, it's just Onrie Kompan. Yeah.
Okay, so and I've got it's linked on mine as well, if I'm not mistaken. You're in my Ted's Tribe part of my YouTube.
Yeah. Following each other. Absolutely.
Right. So, and when you guys go to that, I want you to see the the newsreels, everything that happened when you went to Korea. All these things happened. It was a few years ago, but you guys need to see what it's all about. I mean, Stan Lee backed this guy. So I mean, this isn't just a, I respect Onrie a ton. So if you can't, I'm fanboying a little bit, but I mean, we talked about that on the other interview. Go back to in my YouTube channel and talk a little bit more about what you went through with Stan and the experiences you had meeting him.
I didn't just go through Stan. I went through Stan. I just marched into his office and
you did.
those right to him.
And
he
wrote,
took it like the man.
What's that?
And he took it like the man.
Yeah. But he also, I don't know anybody else I don't think I know anybody else personally that's had him write something in a book for that author. So again, it's worth the investment, guys, and it's a steal right now at the price point. So I would definitely check out what we're doing, and we're going to go through everything that you're doing right now. So you guys now have a little bit of a foundation of why, Onrie is so important to me, and I think to the rest of the community at large. So, all right. So fast forward. Okay. So here, this is pre-COVID when we met. We go through everything last year, and then all of a sudden March. So C2E2 happened, right? You went to C2E2. I didn't get to go. I was still Michigan stateside. I didn't end up going because we didn't know anything was going on, but I just didn't plan on going to C2E2 that time of the year. So, and then literally right after C2E2, I had one show in Midland, Michigan, and then everything shut down. Everything was shut. Gone. And you remember all that. I mean, you want to recall that at all?
Oh, absolutely. There's that famous Nietzsche saying of what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. But, coming off of this high from 2019,
yeah,
we went and did 20 conventions and we sold over 21,000 books without any distribution from Diamond. We did everything outside of the direct market.
Yeah.
And when you get to a point like this, you start to, and I've been doing this for 10 years, I was feeling a sense of comfort, because like once you get good at what you're doing and you become really good at it. And what I mean doesn't mean I'm a perfect salesman. It's not what I'm trying to say, or make the perfect comic, because you're always learning. I've always had that mentality. If you're not always in this mindset of like you're on the journey and I'm learning new stuff every day.
Sure.
And I hope I will learn new things every day until the day I die. Which will never come, by the way. I plan on living forever. So that's all.
Well, you will in your books. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the idea, right?
Your legacy.
And I kind of came to a point where I was like, all right, what do I reach for next? Because, I've sold out at all these conventions. We're still kind of like, I realized about 6 months into the pandemic, we're actually 12 conventions away from having 100 sellouts at a convention, which is huge, because we don't bring small loads of books with us to conventions. Mm-hmm. We're bringing like no less than 1,000 books per show.
Sure.
So, and the most we've done, we've sold the highest concentration of comics at any convention period ever. We sold over 1,700 books at a single convention.
Incredible.
I think Jeff Smith was able to do that with Bone, mm-hmm. But regardless, what Bone has done is incredible. I've never sold
absolutely.
Book. I mean, it's just that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And the point isn't to try and outdo someone. Like let's look at Todd McFarlane when he decided to do Spawn. He wasn't. It wasn't in his mind to outdo everyone else, outdo Dave Sims' Cerberus by making 300 issues. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to prove to himself that he could do it, and that's really what it's about: is proving to ourselves that we can do what we put our mind to. But let's go back to COVID. I thought, all right, what do I reach for next? Right. Well, I needed money, and once I was really glad to be back to work at C2E2, and I was ready to get back out there and lead the
charge. The numbers were big in Chicago. I mean, that was a big show. That was a big show.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not always my best one. It's my hometown show, but It's not always my best convention.
Yeah.
but that year it was really good, and my collectibles business was actually on its way. It was about to become extinct. And for those of you who don't know, what happened eventually has very significant, correlation with what I was doing as a comic book dealer as well. So, we still have a hard time at conventions with collectibles because it's not the same thing as selling Eastern Shin. I can get up in front of you and tell you, hey, I'm the guy who created this thing, and give me 30 seconds of your time. I'll tell you what it's about, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to people at conventions who are going and diving for single issues, they need their space, and you need to have a lot of stuff for them to look at. When I go diving at a convention, I'm looking for the dealers who have the setups that are enormous, that are, it's hard to divide yourself between being a dealer and a comic creator. So wearing both those hats it's not easy. You need someone to clerk for you so you can focus on what you need to do.
Absolutely. And, you got to be able to delegate, and you can't, from theft reasons alone, I can't even imagine what you having your eyes on everything that you've got. The larger the setup, the more theft that could happen. And I don't mean that everybody's stealing from you, but damages happen,
Here's the thing about theft. I've never had problems with theft because I always carry this knife on me.
That's one thing about Onrie. He doesn't have that on he doesn't have that out when he's giving you a card. So when you pass by him and he does his, I don't even know what it is. It's a stance or whatever you do when you pull your card out. So don't worry, it's not a knife there, but it's his card. And that's how you sell your, it's awesome. If you watch his videos, you'll see him do this move in front of people. And it's kind of like they're completely taken. They're focused right to him. It's a brilliant thing. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
He has stolen anything from me, and this is 100% my fault. Most of the time, people don't. I've never had theft issues that are absolutely ridiculous. And I think that I attribute a lot of that to what you're saying. It's getting out there. Brian K. Morris in the house. What an honor to have Morris in the house, my man.
Yep.
My man.
Yep.
So I typically don't have that because I'm when I'm at conventions and I see somebody and I pull them in, they have my full attention, and that's what it's about. It's giving giving that. It's aiming and striving for that 100% customer satisfaction approach, where you put on a show, and I'm not a salesman. I'm a showman. I don't consider myself.
I will give you. But you're, you know what though? It's not like you're selling snake oil. You're really, people know you're passionate about it. You're not just a guy. And that's the thing that you're doing now too online. You can tell that you're not just, a piece of work. You're not this guy pulling a card up trying to sell elixirs and stuff. You really know the business.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, right? Yeah, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
But I know that you have you got a vision of where you want to be. You always have had, and you've got a really good sense of business. And that's one thing I really appreciate about you, because I know that as an entrepreneur, you're looking at it. You're always 2 steps ahead when you're thinking about where you want to be. I think, at least in my perception.
Two steps ahead. I actually think probably where I want to be is where I am. It feels like there's 10 steps.
And I know that's frustrating for you. I know it's for me too. Yeah.
You don't know what that next step is
right.
But one thing I will say is it's always helped me to kind of trust my gut. So, let's go back to COVID, because I didn't get there yet. So COVID happens. All the conventions are canceled, and I'm depressed. I'm seriously, I don't think I've ever been in a darker place in my career. Mm-hmm. And just in my life in general. I was really, really, it was really bad. And, I had to put this front on, and I think we all did, because of everything that was going on. It was just lunacy what was going on around the country, around the world. Yep. And the way we were treating each other just didn't make sense to me. But I kind of just realized that I had to do the same thing I got used to. And I don't have a political divide. I don't go from one side. I am 100% all for bipartisanship. Yep. I think there's not enough of it. It's a shame. You know, we all feel like,
and I've been guilty of not being that way, but I think that we have to have a common ground. We have to. There's got to be something that we can work with.
there's always an anchor, right? And let's not get too political here, but let's look at just the history of Yisun Shin. If Korea didn't have its political divides, they would have been ready for the Japanese invading their country, and they would have been able to win that invasion easily. It wouldn't have even been an issue. In fact, anytime a country gets invaded, it's exactly when there is a political divide. It's divided. Exactly at that point, because now they know that, hey, people aren't together. This is a perfect time. This is when you come in and you start to do stuff like that. So, you know, when you can take over, it's when people are shocked and disoriented.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
The adage divide and conquer. I mean, it's, you know, if they're already divided, you know, I'm with you.
Captain America Civil War, everybody. Huh? All right. And, you know, it's really amazing how those Marvel movies have, like, you know, just basically like transcended and are really talking directly to us as people, not just as consumers, but as people. Like, is this how we want to see our world? But again, let's get back to where we were. I was in a really dark place, and so then I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I go on and start a path towards freelancing? So I figured that's the natural thing. I'm a writer, I should write, but I'm also an editor, so I guess I should edit, because that's what, you know, it was easier for me to get work with. So I was editing some film scripts, I was doing some other stuff, and it just wasn't enough for me. Like, just, you know, and it's not that there's anything wrong with it. You know, like, if we didn't have editors or writers, that would be a horrible thing. I'm just, you know, thinking about what was enough for me as a person. And this is why I think it's so important for us as people to really listen to what is going on in our hearts. What are our hearts telling us? And I had a really hard time. And, you know, I kind of felt like I was being lapped by all these other creators. You know, I'm looking at all these other shows. There's so many things I don't know, so many uncharted territories, because where was my focus this whole time for 10 years? It was at conventions. I wasn't really focused on all the other ways of really building my business, like Kickstarter and utilizing that. I didn't make Yisun Shin for the collector. I made Yisun Shin for the reader. And that was something that needed to change, because if you are going to leave any kind of customer behind, you're leaving money on the table, and you're holding yourself back from really reaching your full potential. And a lot of these creators that I know and that we support, they're collectors themselves. They shop with us. And that's the thing, is they have that in mind when they put their books out there. They do the variant covers. And I used to resent doing variant covers, because I just felt like it was a cheap gimmick and all that stuff. And that was just my pride.
Money grab sometimes.
It can be. Look, I take advantage of it now myself. I
think it's great. Like you said, you're leaving money on the table, because it might inspire somebody else to buy that because they like it better or whatever. You know?
But think about it. There's so many collectors out there that are readers too. Most collectors are readers. You know, they're not just buying comics simply to, like, get them slabbed. But even so, if you get your stuff slabbed, that's a wonderful thing too. So we were leaving a lot behind, and we weren't utilizing a lot of stuff that we really needed to in order to really maximize our growth. And I'm still having a hard time figuring out how to do it, because Yisun Shin's not one of those books that I can just, you know, when you invest in it, you got to if you invest big, you got to hope your return is going to be big. And there's still things we're learning, and I'm just a slow adapter. I look at things, and it takes me a really long time, and that's what took me so long to get into live sales, because I was a dealer. I've been dealing since 2018. We've been doing eBay, and I've been going to conventions and just buying up whatever I need to do to stock up on. But you know, when COVID hit, it didn't occur to me right away, like, hey, you could be doing this. What happened was I just was thinking, I put my own mental block on, and I'm like, Yisun Shin, I need to focus on that book. I need to get it selling again. And to be honest with you, that is what kind of got me to live sales, because at first I was waiting for conventions to come back. And then I got sick and tired of waiting for that to happen.
Well, we didn't know. In your defense, we didn't know. Things were being pushed off 3 months, 6 months. And let me interject for a second, because you were all set to go to Florida. You were ready to go.
I paid my.
You had your plane tickets. You were booked, ready to go to the show. So, I mean,
And everybody, and I didn't care about anybody's opinion. You didn't like that I was gonna be there. Good, don't go there. I don't care. Don't tell me where I can and can't go. You know, and that was the thing. You know, some people felt, well, you're gonna kill people. You're gonna do this and that. You know what? I had COVID, and I eventually got it not from going to a convention, but just from doing all the things that I was supposed to be doing, wearing a mask, which I always do. You know, I understand the seriousness of this, but I also understand that at some point you can only do so much to protect yourself.
You have to live, and it's hard though. I mean, it's very difficult.
I got COVID being in an isolated situation, you know, so it's not like we're all going to somehow come into contact with this. I believe the majority of us already have. It's just some people get affected by it seriously. And then there's a lot of people who don't have any effects at all. And then there's people who will have it, and even, you know, an even larger amount of people who will have it and then beat it. And then there's these variants. There's all kinds of
there's so many factors. And then there's buses in the street, and there's cars could hit you. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen. But
there's so many worse viruses than COVID too. And it's almost like they just appeared, and you know. And again, I don't want to get into it because
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you off track, but I'm backing you. I understand what you're saying. I completely understand that.
And just to be clear, so that I'm not saying to anybody that we shouldn't be taking this situation with COVID seriously. I'm all for that. I understand. You got to do this. All comes back to you got to do what's best for you, and you got to look around at what the situation is, and you know, take care of your brothers and sisters out there. You know, be kind to your neighbor.
That's right, and that's the healthy attitude to have. You want to be responsible. I know with my own thing, I'll let you get back to your story. My own thing is just getting out of my own head, because I know that I want to make sure I'm masked up and everything to help everybody else. But I need to stay away from people that that are just blatantly just not doing what they're supposed. You know what I mean? So that's the balance. So that's my only thing. But you're right. You guys, we all have a view on it, and that's cool. And you know, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. You have to live. You still have to live. So
absolutely. And not only that, I mean, there's look, I get it. You know, I understand why people have their reservations, and that's it. And eventually, you know, I was angry. I was very angry. I'm like, you know, come on. There's so many, like, you know, and I wasn't public about it, but I mean, because that's not what it's about for me. It's not about me trying to prove my point to you, because you know what? You're going to have your point, and you know what? You're right. In your world, you're right.
Right. You said go with your gut, and that's what, you know, that's what everybody should be doing. Right.
And I'll tell you, from the responsible side, I'm the guy who's going to, I don't believe in any of this stuff, but I'm the guy who's going to wear the mask when he goes into the grocery store. I'm going to wear the mask when I'm around people who, and when I'm in areas where I need to go. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm going to do it because that's the right thing to do, you know? And, that's what it's about. And, you know, I don't think it's a permanent thing, because it's not sustainable. No. So, you know, I think everybody kind of gets that. And it's, you know, and if you are in a position to get vaccinated and you feel comfortable enough to do it, then go do it.
By all means, do it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And, and I can't say,
I get what, and I think everybody else understands it.
I can't not address that as I go into this, because I have to say, everybody's been affected differently by COVID. And I have to say that the effect that COVID has had on my business has been incredible, because what's occurred is now we are, Russell, I couldn't see any of your comments. So,
we couldn't. I'm sorry, Russell. We're having the same problems. They said that we weren't going to have this with StreamYard. They made an email last night. We're still having problems with it. I apologize. If you guys are any comments on that, please get on our YouTube channel. If anybody sees them, copy them onto here or something, whatever. Just let us know. Sorry about that, Russ. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Onrie.
Oh, no. Okay. So yeah, it took a long time for us to figure out how to get into live sales, or that we even should be, because at first I was watching Jen King.
Yeah.
She created this channel called Plan C Distribution, because what occurred when COVID first hit was everything was shut down. Diamond stopped distributing
everything.
Pencils down, that whole thing, and our whole jobs were considered non-essential, all that BS. And while this was all happening, here's Jen King. She's got a show, and she's got a show with only independent comics on there.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And one
brilliant.
and one of them was mine. And I'm just sitting there the whole time watching as everything's going on. And it didn't even occur then. It's like, I kind of felt like Homer Simpson, it's like, Homer, what are you thinking about right now? And you see like,
Right.
hitting signals,
Yeah.
And it really was like that. And so one morning in September, I woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm sick of this. I'm not waiting for conventions to come back. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do live sales. I'll figure it out. I'll fall flat on my face, but I will pick myself up and I will figure it out. And the first show I did, I sold nothing. Sold absolutely nothing. However, 2 hours later, I got a couple internet orders and I was like, all right, it's something. Could that have happened regardless? Sure. But I like to think that me being there and engaging people at least made them aware. And the way I had to start looking at things is everything I was doing at conventions needed to be brought up to a new level. And here was where I was also leaving the customer behind.
Yeah.
We were talking about before, just focusing on the difference between the collector and the actual reader, right? But then you also have the people that can't go to Comic-Con.
Yeah, they're shut-ins. Yeah, literally shut-ins. I mean, we were...
And Jesse James of CBSN calls them orphans. They are orphans.
Yeah.
They don't have comic shops. They're out in the middle of nowhere. And I've been in areas where there's not a comic shop for like hours away.
Ours is an hour away.
Yeah,
we've got a great community here, but still, I know.
So it's not easy to open up a brick and mortar comic shop. Actually run it successfully.
Sustain it. Yeah, and sustain it. Yeah.
It's impossible. It's a lot of work. Not impossible, but it's a lot of work. But aside from that, we were also leaving another type of customer behind, and it's the customer that wants to see me have more stuff out. And I'm not a guy who can just pump stuff out. That's one of my drawbacks as a writer. I can't just bang out scripts. I have to take my time. I have to put my best work into it. It's my own complex. I totally get it. I hope I get over it one day. I really do. I hope I can just get out.
I think you are. I think you are. You're in the process of it, bro, right now.
Well, yeah, but it's also the kind of thing like, I look at Eastern Shin and what we've accomplished with it and what people are saying about it. And I take a lot of pride in that, and I want to always have that feeling whenever it comes to anything I produce, is that there's a sense of pride in it. Like, you may not like it. It may not be your thing, but I know that I put 100%. I didn't leave anything, as I like to say. I don't like to use the term exactly, but leaving money on the table, it refers to more than just money for me. It's leaving skill on the table. It's leaving patience on the table, leaving whatever the case is, something behind, so that you're not giving your audience what they deserve. And like I said, I'm a showman. That's my job. And the showman, their responsibility is the audience. Yeah. That's the first and foremost thing, is the audience. Mm-hmm. And that's what everybody in comics is. And that's the thing too. It's amazing to see how many people have put their showmanship hats on. Like, let's just take Brian K. Morris. I mean, what he's done, and Brian inspired me when he started. He was the one. Brian K. Morris is the reason why my other show, Onward with Onrie, exists in the first place. Yeah. When I saw Brian doing what he was doing, I was like, hey, I'm taking a cue. And this is the thing. I always feel like Brian's like learning from me. Brian always makes it seem like he's the only one learning from me, because he's just that humble guy, who's always like, it's, you're the one who's showing me the way. But here's the thing. We're learning a lot from you too, Brian. And I honestly, if it wasn't seeing what you were doing, if it wasn't working, or if you weren't just constantly doing it, none of us would be doing it either. No. And COVID allowed a lot of people whose voices would typically kind of be like not heard as well. It really allowed them to kind of rise up in the industry. And I really love that so much. Yeah. But it's something, I think that, you talk about legacy, that is something that Brian has built for himself. And he was doing it years before you and I were even affiliated with him. Dude, he was doing it since 2016, 2015. Right. He's been doing it a very long time. Yeah. So, and then seeing the friendships that I've made from this, including yourself, it's amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing that, and then the amplification with the pandemic has brought me closer to people I've never met physically,
but I've been able to promote not only my business, but theirs. And it's all because of One Fez that started the whole thing for me. Because it was that one. I say hashtag One Fez promotes them all, but that's it. I wouldn't have met Carl. We wouldn't have a cigar show together. There's all kinds of things down the line that it goes on and on. One person really made a difference in so many people's lives, and you can be that person too, you know. And that's, you know, I'm with you. I kudos to Brian, and everybody else out there, Clever Mornings and Never Mornings. But yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what got me into the dealing aspect was I was like, all right, so I'm going to sell Easton Chin, but now I need to offer some variety. Well, how do I do that? Why don't I start selling other comics? Because I've been dealing.
Sure.
So I called up my partner and I'm like, dude, we haven't done anything with Hunter Killer for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just lying dormant. I was basically using whatever money we got to just buy myself comics to read. And I was doing a lot of reading last summer. And I told him, I'm like, you know, if we can put at least 1 hour a week in for our business, like that's just to start. Let's just do one show a week or something. And we'll make it an hour. And he was like, all right, cool. Well, that show quickly turned into a 2-hour show because I was watching what Jen King was doing. Because I was like, all right, cool. I'm falling into this. So let's see what the other people are doing.
You're going down the rabbit hole, man. You might as well go. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I reached out to her and I'm like, you know, I'd really love to have to join CBSN. And she was like, well, you know, if you're just going to be selling Easton Chin, it's probably not going to work for you. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I get that. And I was like, okay, I understand. So that was it. But what happened is Jen decided to watch one of my shows one evening with Kevin. And it just happened to be the episode where we finally like cracked that nut where we were
perfect
actually
timing. Yeah.
Well, we were starting to see sales. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
stars were aligning. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When you first do anything, any broadcast or anything, when you first start doing it, you're not going to have the viewership. You're not going to have the sales because nobody's used to you doing it yet.
Right.
It's not that you suck or that you're bad. You just have to keep doing it and ignore the numbers. Like, who cares? If there's one person listening, give them your full goddamn attention. That's how it works.
That's right.
If there's 0 people in the room, do some damn cartwheels. Do whatever you got to do to get one person to stop what they're doing and watch what you're saying, you know, whatever the case is. But, you know, it's also that's what showmanship is. It's making sure that if there's one person in the room, then they get your full attention. I remember a couple weeks ago, we actually acquired a new customer, and this is somebody who's been with us, who's been shopping with us since. I had a glitch on StreamYard, which wasn't allowing my feed to pop up on the Comic Book Shopping Network. Oh. And it showed that I only had one person in the room. And I'm like, all right, that one person, they're getting top service now.
All your attention, yeah.
You tell me what you're looking for, I'm going to dig it out because I can guarantee you I got something in my long boxes that you're going to want. I got over 100 long boxes in my shop. You know, it's, you know, so we have a full store. But anyway, getting back to everything. So Jen watched us sell one night other comics, and she was like, I didn't know you were selling other comics. Of course you can come on CBSN. Send me an email and we'll get everything going. So I tell Kevin, he's excited. We're both like, it was amazing. And we got brought in right away. Kyle Northrup, who ran a comic shop in Ohio called The Nexus. He brought us on. He's one of the dealers on there. And he was also in charge of all the tech related in social networking aspects of Comic Book Shopping Network. He's also my producer at the EXP now. So, you know, he's also the reason why we have a comic shop full of comics. So, you know, we got, yes, I still see that, Russ.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to throw that out there. So Russ got some props. Well, tell him you were locked into a time frame though too. They gave you a spot time, right? When they offered this.
Basically, they didn't offer any. They offer you to join the network. Basically, you got to find a slot that works. So my first mission was, I knew I'm not going to get a primetime slot because the primetime slots are taken by the other dealers. Yeah. But my first objective was get on a Wednesday show because Wednesday's New Comic Book Day. That's if you're going to get anybody in to buy comics. It's Wednesday, right? So Wednesday was when I got in at first, and then I figured, okay, another slot I could take was Thursday. Unfortunately, my partner wasn't able to come on with me because it was just the evening schedules didn't work for any of the shows. So
Yeah.
we just decided I would run the comic book shopping network stuff, and when Kevin's around and he can do it, we just do CBSN slots. We'll do a CBSN show together, and it was amazing because once I got into this, which I was very hesitant to do, I did not want to own a warehouse full of comics.
Sure.
That's not in my
the overhead and everything. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
the only reason why I got into dealing is because we inherited a bunch of graphic novels, and what our goal was to just sell those graphic novels and just invest in keys, just stick to keys and slabs, and that's it.
Okay.
But now that what allowed me to sell so many copies of Eastern Shin was that the price points were correct, right? And comics sell, guys. I just want to let you know that if you look outside of what we see in any report, that is just a report of new comics. There's at least 1,000 comics being sold just through the comic book shopping network on a daily basis.
Sure.
Comic shops exist based on their old content. It's not just about the new stuff. The new stuff, it's not enough for you to sustain your business. You need to have back issue inventory or something else, some other means of drawing people into your shop. But that's what kind of dragged me into dealing. I'm a writer. I didn't see myself being a dealer. I got dragged into this because I followed my instinct, and this is what I wanted to do. This is what allowed me to get up in front of people.
And that's a repeating thing you've been saying. Follow your instinct, follow your gut. And I tell people that on TED Talks all the time. You got to go with your gut. Even if it's not in line with what I'm thinking, that's even better. Go with your gut. If you don't feel like we all have a position. We all have a character to play, and that you've got to go with what you feel internally. I'm glad you did, because it's making a huge difference. I think from you, I can see the change in you. You know what I mean? Even from a few months ago, when you wanted to go to Florida, the only thing I said to you was be safe, much success. And that's what I wished for you. It didn't matter what my thoughts were on traveling or whatever. I just want you to be safe because I knew you have family, and I know that you were trying to do the best thing for yourself and for them. And I respect that a lot. But anyway, like I was saying, I digress, but go with your gut. That's awesome.
You're 100% right. I mean, look, we were in a position where you can't tell me that that things suddenly didn't matter because of COVID. I spent a lot of money in 2019 on reprinting, and I was reprinting in China, and I was supposed to. My broker and everybody told me you'll be fine. We got hit with the tariff, and now I had no conventions. And I still got a book to produce. So where's the money coming from?
Well, and you were not only that.
We're not wanting to go. I had to go, and I had to do something.
To add the frustration too, and I know that there was quite a few people that this happened to and it's not just the one convention, but you ship things out to Seattle for the. So you had money out plus the tickets, everything. So now and then the books had to come back. I don't know if you had to pay for that to come back, or was that
I was out. It was $250 to ship it, then $250, and that was a week after C2E2. So basically, I lost
everything you made.
Everything I made was well. I mean, we still made money, but basically, what I broke even now on C2E2 essentially because of that $500 loss. And in Emerald City. They didn't offer discount. They didn't offer hey, we're going to reimburse you for what
should have happened. That should have happened.
Even though they put me in a position where I was led to believe that this show was going forward in spite of everything. They assured everybody this show is happening.
Yep.
And I told my rep, I need to know now so I can ship out my stuff. I shipped out everything. Sure enough, it got canceled. And of course, you can't hold it against them because you can't hold anything against anybody, right? But on top of that, once they decide that the show is happening, they wanted to raise my booth costs. And I'm like, look, guys, can't do it.
Insult to injury.
And I told them, I'm like, I'm out an extra $500 right now. You got to cut me slack because, that's just how it is. and they took care of me, which I'm really
That's good. Well, that's good business. They need to. They need to.
I'm grateful for that. You know, there's a lot of times when they may not be, and honestly, it's just a matter of how you deal with them, and you know how your demeanor,
Right. And I think that what I was getting at is that the frustration compiled. It wasn't like I want everybody to understand this. Onrie's not one to fly off the handle. He's pretty zen when it comes down to things. And I know that there's it's like me. I know that there has to be a certain buildup to a point where it's like, okay, then you become a pit bull. You know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, I got to get this done because this is totally unreasonable. So I want you guys to make sure that if you're just meeting Onrie for the first time, there's a lot of things that propelled, you know, I think your success online, because a lot of these things happened, I think, in succession for a reason, so that you're doing this now, that you're out of your comfort zone, you're being stretched. And that's part of being pivoting to this pandemic. You know, I was stretched doing this. You thought a year ago I'd be doing this to this level, at least, if it is a level. You know, you know what I'm saying. I'm with you. So
level, like, dude, you got sponsors. I ain't got anybody sponsored.
Well,
I'm
and
serious. Nobody's sponsored. You know, like
it's just the time, man. It's just in time. Just
but it's also
give it a little bit of time. You'll get there.
That's your pivot. That's your pivot. You know, and that's the thing. Like, once I started getting into live sales and I was selling all other comics, Yisun Shin sales started going up, and we're not where we need to be yet. We still have like a lot of conventions to go, and we have to pay off a lot of conventions. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into rebuilding here. And fortunately, we didn't get hit. We got hit prior to COVID, but we managed to kind of stay in one place, which is great. I'm happy with where we're at right now, and we're going to be fine. We're producing the book. Everything will be fine. But in the moment when you don't know if everything's going to be fine, and I still don't know everything's going to be fine, I'm just going to trust that everything's going to be fine. Yeah. You know, you kind of let it go. And once I got into live sales, that opened up another side of me. And now I was selling books that, even if I didn't care for the book, I was selling it, because it's not about what I care about. Like, I don't care about probably about 85% of the stuff I have in inventory. Yeah. It's not that I don't love comics or that I wouldn't take care of them, but I have my taste. We all got our taste. We can't be into everything, right? But you find a way to, and to be honest with you, I'm more into the independent stuff. I'm more Marvel than I am DC. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not going to sell DC comics, because I think there are a lot of cool DC comics out there. But and that's just me being off the cuff. But you know, when it comes to what it's allowing me to use my skills to help other people too, and that was something that I wasn't doing. You know, so what I started doing was Live with Onrie, which is what you were talking about. That's where we had you on for an interview. There was something missing there, and what missing is an opportunity to actually use that platform to help creators sell their stuff, because we all. I'm not the only person going through the crisis of not having conventions and not being able to do store signings, and knowing that all those SOBs in Florida get their convention. They didn't have anything taken from them. So, you know, they got their shows and they got all that kind of stuff. And then there's a show happening in Kentucky about 12 hours away, you know, like I can't make it there, you know. So, you know, and again, the orphans, right? The people who love independent comics but are nowhere near a comic shop. Yeah. And that's who we're trying that's who we're trying to service the most. But it's everybody, right? It's even the people I meet at conventions. If I met you at a convention and I sold you Yisun Shin, then you are going to want to pick up 47 Furious Tales by William Samuel Quinton, because it's the same kind of genre. So I got something. You're also going to want Chris Moran's Peerless. Okay. Because
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's awesome. We got it. We got it. Stop. It's a great book. And, you know, if I can get these creators to come on, and of course I can't read everybody's work. I want to, but
that's impossible. Yeah, I know.
You would think owning a comic shop that all you do is just read comics all day, but there's so many other things to do, especially right now when we're in this process of building and trying to figure out what we are. Yeah. And you know, like when it comes to other creators, I'm more inspired by their journeys on how they got to where they are with their books. But if I can be just a small part of that success by helping them sell their work, then that's huge. And that's what basically inspired me to create Virtual Signings with Onrie, which airs twice every. Yes, it comes on every Friday.
Dynamite. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
when does it air? I'm sorry.
Every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Eastern. And then we do it again on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, the EXP, at 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Eastern. And I actually got to figure out who our I never know who my guest is going to be. I haven't even had it really book in advance. But what's really the biggest lesson I've learned from COVID is, you can't see any aspect of this industry as halting or holding back. You have to be willing to work with everybody, and you got to be willing to help everybody. And allowing myself to use my skills to help other creators sell their work is a really really beautiful thing, because not everybody has that personality. I have a very annoying personality. I can get up there and be all like, buy this comic, you idiot! Like, I can do that. Not everybody can,
Yeah.
I don't care, because I have fun doing it, but it's not fun for everybody. Like, look, some people love gambling. I hate gambling. I'm not a gambler.
Not a big fan. I already gamble enough with my money. I don't really want to go to a casino.
Right.
You're part of Rising Tide anyway, because you got the same mentality. That's one thing that Carl that's why I posted this. And that's what I did, because Chris and I, when all this happened, we went to one show in March last year. And it was right after we didn't know what COVID was, because we got sick in February. And we didn't know what it was. It hit up here really early because people came back from traveling and whatever, and we all got sick. There was a ton of people sick up in Michigan, upper Michigan. And, they thought it was pneumonia. We didn't know. So after everything happened, I'm like, okay, well, what can we do to build a foundation for people to benefit when we do it, is what I was thinking. Because I thought, okay, karma, that's the way I think. If we can help somebody, we'll get it back somehow. How do we do this? You're doing the same thing. Brian taught us that, if anything. The whole collection of Nevermorians and everything taught us that. And that's what I did with my sponsors. I had an opportunity that they were struggling. Their cafe was shutting down. There was nothing they could do. And it wasn't just Michigan, it was across the country, and there were people that were in need. And I had a platform that we could do something to help. And that's what it was about. And that you're doing the same thing that we're doing. And that's, one of the reasons I respect you so much. That's why you're here. Because I think that there's a commonality there. There's a very, the mindset's correct. And that's the way it should be. Right livelihood is very important to me. And I think that and you're there. And I'm not saying we don't have to make money. We do. But there's a way to do it with finesse and with compassion and empathy. And that's, I think that you've hit it on the mark.
It's really different than just smacking someone across the face and taking their money. At least give them a hug and take their money.
Give them a kiss on the cheek once we get the mask off.
That's advice from your favorite Uncle Onrie. But I want to say that, yes, I am on board with the Rising Tide philosophy. When I interviewed Brian on Live with Onrie, that was when I really understood why. It never occurred to me, like, why is this publishing company called Rising Tide, until he actually told me it. And and it doesn't apply to him, because we always look at a company logo, right? branding, always branding.
Always be promoting.
ABC, always be closing, right? But when we look at everything, it's always a representation of us. Like, I can just tell you a quick story about our logo here. Kevin and I originally, we had this logo of combining our two favorite superheroes, right? Because you got a comic, business, and you want, and you look at the other companies out there, and we created this. I came up with this idea of, like, this would be really cool. It'd be a spider, because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, and Kevin's all about the Joker, so it'd be like a white spider with the Joker smile.
Cool.
And we did all this work on it, it ended up looking awful. We got horrible feedback from it from my editor, David Anthony Kraft. He was basically like, "This is horrible. Don't ever do this." And then we sent it to Jim Salicrup, and Jim was like, "Well, this is cool, but I would never use it. But you go do your thing." So, he's being very kind about it, right?
Okay.
And that's what I listen to, is I listen to the people who are going to tell me not what I want to hear, but what I need to hear, right?
What they need to hear. Yeah.
So
Or what you need to hear. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So Dak says to me, "You need a logo that says buy comics from us." And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, who's going to say buy comics from us better than us? So that's why we put Kevin and me back to back on. That's why that's our logo, because it's about, letting people know that if you're going to buy comics, shop with us. You know exactly what you're getting when you look at that logo.
Absolutely.
But when we go back to Rising Tide, a logo is a very it's a very like I don't want to say narcissistic, but it's a very like personal thing. It's a representation of what your business is. Forget the word narcissism. It has nothing to do with it. It's a
that pretty much sounds that's me. That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty narcissistic too, but that's the idea. Is it's a representation of who you are. But Brian's business model is not just a representation of himself. It's a representation of everybody in the business, and it's about all of us rising up
Everyone
together.
Up, right?
And I am 100% behind that message. And Brian's got me coming on Clever Title Pending, which I can't wait.
Yep.
Going to see his viewership go way up. Everybody is going to go so high. It's great.
You make sure you got some comics on there too. Hopefully, don't forget your Isu Shin. Remember, everybody. You make sure you have this for he probably will have it at his desk for the show. But
I do have it here. It's not that I don't have it. It's just within an earshot, but it would require me to get up. But and who wants to get up? It's so
right.
much.
I know, right?
Everybody tells me I stand at conventions. They're always telling me to sit behind my table, so I'm sitting. You finally got what you wanted. That's
got it finally. How does now you said you have a partner, Kevin? Is it? I'm sorry.
Yes.
So how did that come about? We're at an hour right now. Are we doing okay time wise for you? Everything's okay. So how did he's been around 3 years, you said? What's been that?
So Kevin and I have been friends since we were 10 years old.
Okay. Sorry, Kevin. I know it's a burden, but
oh, it's totally is. We used to ride our bikes to school and then after school we'd go over to our local comic shop, which is still in business, by the way, North Shore Comics in Northbrook, Illinois, run by Pete Hurst,
awesome.
who's been a huge help to getting our business to where it is currently and where it'll be tomorrow. So stand. Yeah, no, never sit behind your
always
table.
Stand. Yeah, always be closing, always standing. That's right.
Yeah, John. Here's what I got a great story for 2 good stories. First off, don't stand behind your table. Don't stand in front of your table. Stand on top of your table.
Okay, all right. If it can support, I don't know.
People love when you talk down to them. It shows authority. It shows them that they have no choice but to spend money with you. And if they ever make you come down, just tell them that you're never gonna fall. Sorry, I'm standing up on my tower, right? That's what I'm talking about. You go to the top and you stay there for as long as you can. But aside from that, there was this one convention I did in AwesomeCon, and we had a neighbor, and she had gutted her entire area, so she didn't have tables, she didn't have chairs, she didn't have any of that. And her people that were helping her out were exhausted. They were just so tired.
Sure.
And what ended up happening was they just were like, "Can we sit down?" And I was like, "Well, you guys can sit down on our chairs. We got like a couple chairs here." And she looked at me and she's like, "We don't sit down here." And I was like, I was like, all right, but we all got to rest too, Some people better when they're it doesn't mean that you have to be up. Here's what you need to be. You need to engage. That's all that matters. If you don't feel comfortable standing, then don't stand. I know people who have, severe issues with standing. Sure. I had plantar fasciitis for a while, and I had some conventions where I couldn't walk afterwards, just period. Sure. And I don't recommend that for people. I don't want anybody following in this path to get into a position where they're not able to do their job, because then you're limited. And if you feel limited, it's going to hurt your confidence. It hurts your confidence. It's going to hurt your ability to make a transaction and make that connection. Most important with the customer.
Huge part of it. Yeah.
And it's all about confidence. It's about finding a place where you feel comfortable and staying there and building on that. And I like move. For me, it's about motion. Yeah. But there's many ways to express motion. You know, if someone is crippled, that doesn't mean, and they can't walk, that doesn't mean that you can't be good at selling comics. That has nothing to do with it. Stand up when you draw too. I agree, Glenn.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing I've got this.
That too, that we're going to beat them senseless if they don't stand while drawing.
Whip them. Yeah. That's one thing about my drafting desk. I'm always standing when I do all my artwork. And you know, I spent a fortune on this chair, and it's Chris is like, you're supposed to be sitting down. I'm like, I can't, because I've got to, you know, you have to. There's just a certain way you have to when I'm drafting or whatever. You got to do it. You have to. Yeah. So I'm with you, Glenn. I understand.
You know, and I don't know if you saw this a couple of weeks ago. There was this graphic that showed an independent creator at his booth, and across from him was this artist with like this big wall of like prints and everything. And obviously, the guy with the wall of the prints is going to do gangbusters compared to the independent creator.
Yeah,
this is a great opportunity. And I'll tell you right now, I've been set up across from artists like that all the time, and I thrive in those environments.
Sure.
I love it, because they're doing all the work for you. Now you get
they are absolutely.
All you got to be ready to do is engage.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you might get rejected, but just because someone spent $60 on a print doesn't mean they won't throw you another $20 for your book. Yeah. So if you're willing to engage, if you look at your situations at conventions and see the positives as opposed to the negatives, that's what's going to allow you to thrive. And that's really kind of like what it was with live sales. And we're always trying to grow, right? We want more people shopping with us. We want to have, you know, a consistent basis of people hanging out with us. And it's not always something that happens overnight. You know, it's a steady build. We've only been doing this for 6 months. People may know me as a comics creator, but not even fewer people know that I'm a dealer, and it takes time.
How was that? If I can ask this, if I can kind of segue into this, how was it getting your stock like built? Because like I know that you had to travel to go get a couple things. I remember that. I remember you had to hop on a plane and go get whatever, or go find it. I think that's what you did, right? Didn't you buy?
We had a warehouse in LA.
Okay, so is it constantly you're constantly putting money out, trying to find comics to fill voids, or what? I mean, how does that work?
If you're not buying comics, you can't sell comics.
Okay.
And that doesn't matter if you're an independent creator. It doesn't matter. If you're not buying comics, you can't sell comics, period. Mm-hmm. You have to have stuff in stock. You have to constantly be buying. We're buying all the time. Yep. And we're buying all kinds of stuff, right? And we always have to have a budget set in mind for procurement. Sure. But it was, you guys could probably see this. If you go on YouTube and you type in Live with Onrie, Jesse James, mm-hmm. and you see the interview that I had with Jesse James. Jesse told me exactly what I needed to do. And Jesse's like, you know, he's the head of CBSN along with Jen King.
Yep.
And, you know, Kevin and I, what we've done is we ransacked our LA warehouse. We closed it up, so we're not paying for it anymore. We got all the inventory back home.
Yep.
We got a ton of trades now. And basically what we're doing is we sold a bunch of them, and we built up a nice little nest egg. And so what was Jesse telling me to do? He was saying, buy a lot of comics. Don't cherry pick, just buy a huge lot of comics. Mm-hmm. And that was the scariest thing, because we had a nest egg, and I had to live. And the next day I came across a deal, and it required me to put up pretty much everything we had saved up and risk it on a comic book lot full of random stuff.
Wow.
And we got 30 long boxes on top of what we already had. And so now I started going through, and I didn't have the time to organize it. I just kind of it sat there. I had internet problems at my warehouse, so I was actually filming shows out of my parents' basement.
Yeah.
So I had to like bring different stuff all the time because you can't just keep showcasing the same comics. You have to keep it fresh, and I do that every show I do.
Sure you do.
I have completely new inventory in there. I might mix up some of the stuff that I want to pitch again, but you always have to keep it fresh. So what ended up happening was I realized, okay, you know, like you got to go in, and you got to go all the way in. 2 weeks after I purchased that lot, it was paid off. So now all those comics are paid off. And one of the things that is really beautiful is every single comic that is in my inventory right now is fully mine. It's not anything that I owe anybody. It's not anything that I've lost money on. I've made money on every single thing that I've sold, or at least broken even on it. Sometimes you have to take those hits too. And sometimes you have to take hits for your customer, you know, and that's okay because it's about the service that you're getting.
Well, you're building a client base versus a customer base. I mean, I say that often on a lot of the talks I have. Clients are what you want. In architecture, it wasn't, you know, literally you would design a kitchen or you would design a home, all right, and I would do a set of prints. The house is built. I'm out of a job. So I have to build a client base because you know what? They want to have something added to the home later, or even a doghouse, whatever, you know, there's always something. And then in this type of field, the same thing. You're building clients. If you have customers, that's fine. But if you can build a client base that loves to read your books or likes to see your artwork or purchase your artwork, or knows that they can go to you to get their comic collection filled, that's the key. You know, you got good service, you got good product. You're not a jerk to deal with. Let me ask you about this. What about economics? Like, how do you transfer fund? Do you have a Square setup? Do you have, if I can ask that?
We do everything. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's a great question because there might be people on here who are going to want to shop with us.
Sure. And I insist that you guys do. I insist you guys shop with Onrie. Please.
Yes.
Please.
And speaking of Brian, I want to speak to Brian for a second. He says he can't stand for long at shows because he has being old and fat. Brian, I'm calling you out on your BS right now. I'm going to tell you why, because we have a system that we set up. It's a really wonderful thing. We're hooking up our customers with a chance to win dates with free Russian women. And let me tell you something, Brian. They're not young. They've been in the shed for a while. They've worked hard labor. They hate capitalism, and they fight for communism, and they'll be on their feet, and they won't use excuses like old and fat, because you're a beautiful man, you're young at heart, and I don't consider you to be fat. I consider you to be a proud man who is building up the business. So I'm calling you out on your BS, and shop with us, and you guys get a chance to win a date with a free Russian woman, or get a lifetime supply of gefilte fish, or get a free trip to Russia, which is just absolutely amazing.
Can you say that fish name one more time? That was great. Well,
gefilte fish. Gefilte fish all day. So you know, just letting you know, Brian, I'm calling you out. Yes.
People can pay though over PayPal, or how's it set up with your accounts?
So yes, that's what we were talking about. Yep. So I basically invoice people through email.
Okay.
And basically, you give me your email address. I generate a invoice through PayPal, and then I send it over to you. And basically, that's it. As soon as you pay your invoice, I ship out your stuff. It's a very simple process.
So when you're buying, so let's do a faux or whatever, not faux purchase. Okay, so you're on. Okay, sell me that McFarlane on your desk right now, and we'll do. I know
this is go for the low price of $3,000.
This is all for fake. I am not buying a McFarlane. I've already got a few of them. So, but go ahead.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a discount. I will give you a $3,990 discount on that right now and right now only.
So I send you. So okay, you got a link, or how do you do it? We're on normal. If people are
that's the trick about live sales. It's like there's a lot of nuances to this that we still haven't really figured out. I don't think that the world has learned how to completely maximize the benefit of this, because the way it sets up, we're using StreamYard like you are, right?
Yeah. Yep.
StreamYard allows us to go to 8 channels. So we have Facebook pages. I have my Easton Shin comic book page. I have my Hunter Killer collectibles page. Onrie Kompan Productions, my actual publishing banner. And then I have my profile. I have Kevin's profile. So that's 5 different channels with different people on them that we're hitting just on Facebook.
Yeah.
We also got YouTube, where we don't really see a lot of action, but pretty much anytime I'm broadcasting on my own channel, which is on Monday afternoon and Monday evening and Wednesday evening.
Yep.
Those 3 times out of the week, you'll be able to watch us live on YouTube, right, just like everybody's watching us live.
And I share it out too. I know that other people in our group share it out too. So when you're on, I'll get the reminder, I'll hit share, and then it's moving it out even further.
I think probably one of the things I need to do is actually post the YouTube link so that people can actually see stuff, because sometimes, you know, again, it's the technology. Sometimes it just isn't. I don't think it's fully caught up with what it can do. But
the capability of it, yeah. The algorithms are off too sometimes, and you can't. But yeah, so when I'm purchasing though, I'll have to get my information to you, obviously through the feed. What's the best way though? Do you have a same problem with the Facebook delays like we've been having? Do you have to, like, what if you miss it? What if somebody's talking or you don't even know they're there? You know, they want the Hulk or whatever it is, and then what? What do you do?
Well, you know, it's those kinds of situations where you have to work with people, and one of the things we do is we're always in the process of acquisitions. If you really want something and you couldn't get it, you know, just give me some time and I'll find you another copy. It's really not that big of an issue. We have a limitless supply of comics. We work with a really great network of dealers in the Chicagoland area. They have there's some of the biggest shops in the country are situated right here in Chicago. We got Jamie Graham from Graham Cracker Comics, Alternate Reality, Chicago Comics, Challengers Comics and Conversation, North Shore Comics, Pastimes Comics, Dreamland. We work with all these dealers. One Stop Comics out in Orland Park. All these shops.
Will you do dream lists for people? So if they send in a list of, you know,
it's hard. It's not always easy though, because I'm always trying to find it at a good price. And for me, it's all about leaving enough meat on the bone for both me and the collector and, you know, the person selling. So there's 3 things that you need to be aware of. And people send me their lists all the time. When I come across the books, I'll message them. I'll be like, this is what I can do it for. Do you want to do it? And if they don't want to execute, then I move on and I say, look, I'll keep looking. So don't give up, you know, and you know, we'll find it. You know, it's someone out there has got that book for the right price. It's just a matter of finding it. And sometimes this stuff takes a long time, you know, it's especially
part of it. The journey is the thing. We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. I really want to touch base before I let you go. Tell me, okay, you went to a Comic-Con in Wisconsin last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so tell the public here, what was the experience like? Tell me about the sanitizer. Tell me everything. Tell me about the setup. What was it like?
Well, orgasmic. And that's okay, because there was hand sanitizer there, and everybody was wearing face condoms, so it's all good. It felt damn good, Ted. I gotta tell you. I mean, I felt it felt good to be out there again at the capacity that I was at. I knew I wasn't going to go over to this convention to sell out, because this isn't a convention you sell out at. This is a convention where you go out there, and I need money right now. I don't need to sell out. I need money. I need to be able, and I don't say that in a greedy way. I say that in a way of my business needs to be rebuilt. Yeah. Because we got hit really hard last year. I need money right now to basically get us back to a reserve where we can safely continue our business practices and earn on what we've invested in. What we do in the future is all contingent on replenishing our reserve.
Right.
So one thing get to that point, and we'll get there, once we do our Kickstarter, whenever that freaking happens. But once we get there, it'll secure the future of the series and just overall the projects that I'm working on. But to know that I was finally there, that I made it, because there were points when I thought, what if conventions never come back? I mean, we all went through it. We went through it dark.
Oh, yeah.
You can look back on it now and laugh and say to yourself, well, but I thought about it. I'm like, the world was changing. Everybody was doing everything remotely. And in a lot of ways, this has changed the world, period. Because we weren't doing this before. Now we're doing this all the time. So, that really made me kind of like sad.
It's kind of scary. It was scary in a lot of regards. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I'd never been, I've always been so, like, I want to say brave, in that I've always felt confidence going out to a convention floor. You take that convention floor away from me, then what am I?
There's no stage. There's no stage, and you don't have the interaction. Yeah, I totally understand.
Well, there was a stage. It was right there the whole damn time. I just
right.
And sometimes that's why it's important to step outside of your comfort zone. And you're not gonna. The first thing you'll realize, and a friend of mine told me this weekend, anytime you're looking back, you got 20/20 hindsight.
Yeah,
it's 100% true. Anytime I look back on something, I'm like, I should have been doing live sales in March.
Yeah,
I would not have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, that mirror is small. The rearview mirror is really small. Remember that. The windshield's big. Windshield's really big. So look out.
And is that you got there, and that you got there the way that made sense for you.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing. I love shopping for comics. I love this aspect of everything. It makes it a bit more challenging to focus on the creative aspects of it, though. But I think that once conventions come back and we're really focused on selling Yushin Shin, it gives me more of a chance to put the onus back on myself to just finish out what we started, because I see that fans are loving it and all that stuff.
Right. What was set up like? Did they have did they have a regimen, or was it a protocol? You could only go in certain numbers of people, and was it anything like that, or what was?
It wasn't like that, because it wasn't exactly like a convention. Think of it like it was just like a mall. If you went to a mall or a Target or Walmart, I mean, there's just about the same amount of foot traffic.
Okay.
And that's why I was against them. That's one of the reasons why I was so angry. If I can walk into Costco, which I was doing every week anyway, because I had to go shopping. Right. If I could go to Target and Walmart and do all these things, why the heck can't I go to a convention with a much more controlled foot traffic? So, and if everybody's,
with
getting
the same protocol. Yeah, with the same protocol.
Protocols. There's, to me, in retrospect, I think it was a big mistake to shut down conventions. And that's my personal opinion. That's not me trying to get my thoughts out and force anybody to convert. Everybody's got their feelings about it.
We're just talking. Yeah, this is the part, discourse is a very important thing. Talking, not debating, just talking.
Again, a lot of it's emotionally
charged. Everything's right now it is. Yeah,
I needed to make money, right? So if I need to make money to save my business, if I can't work, then I don't have a business anymore, right? So I needed to focus on that, and it made it really hard that there were no conventions. And granted, we're not selling enough Yushin Shin books to replenish our reserve through live sales, but we're selling lots of other comics, and I got another business now, which has gotten me off of unemployment.
Right.
It's a great thing.
Right.
I didn't want to be on unemployment, and because then you owe someone something. Even in your conscience, someone else needs that money.
Yeah.
Someone else out there. So
I can understand that, and that's good of you to think like that. It was a good experience, though. The Wisconsin show.
It was a very liberating experience, because this is it. This is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I'm back out here now, and no one's taking this away from me. This weekend is mine.
Yep.
And so I had it envisioned in my head so many different ways, and we do that, right? We're thinking about what's going to happen when I get out there, when I get out there for the first time. And of course, it never plays out the way you imagine, because there's 1,000 things going on in the morning right before a show starts. You got to set up. You got to make sure everything's looking right. You got to go pee.
Yep.
You got to go do
everything.
And it's not as epic. It doesn't play out as epic in real life as it does in our own mind. So, but one thing that I was really happy about was as soon as I got out on that floor, it only took me like a couple minutes, and I made it. I started making sales already. My day was
you never left. Yeah.
And that's an important thing, because when we're away from it for a while, we doubt ourselves.
How was the client base? How were the customers? Were they?
I love all my customers,
right?
Except for customers I don't love, but the customer base is great. Conventions are a different beast than live sales, though, in the sense that live sales, you have to be a little bit more patient because you got regulars.
Yeah.
When we're at conventions, I don't have regulars at conventions. I do, but they're just like, they're the people who come back for, a couple comics here and there.
Yeah.
They're not there for, they're not shopping with me on a weekly basis. They're not there every day where I need to constantly keep things fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the transaction experiences at conventions are very rapid, and you have to really work hard to maintain those connections, because as soon as people are gone, they're gone. Yeah. You can put them on your email list. You can shoot them an email, but they're not gonna necessarily respond to it. Yeah. Doesn't mean they won't.
You do it well, though. You do it to a point where you're not. You do it you inform, but you don't sell a used car. I mean, you're doing it very methodically, the way that you do it. I've seen you on several videos on how you handle it, and it's exciting. It's not like it's in your face, but it's not like over the board. You're like, I see some guys that are there, the only thing that they don't have are trumpets and glitter they're throwing up. I mean, some of these guys are just over the top. You know what I mean? You do the slash thing or whatever in front of them, and then you got their attention, right? And that's awesome. And then you tell them about the story. Then you tell them about, and that's a marketing strategy too. And I think it's brilliant. Is about 30 seconds to a minute, you think, between each entry that you've got?
I asked people for 30 seconds at a time. My pitch is 15 seconds.
See, that's the way to do it, guys. You're not inundating people. You're telling them, you're giving them the elevator pitch, and you're direct, but you're not insulting. That's awesome. You've been doing it a long time, though. You've been doing it so long,
Yeah, it's been a while, and the thing is that's part of the showmanship aspect of it, right? Is get to the point.
Yeah.
But we look at Stan Lee, right? And I read this really, really great book. In fact, I have it right here. I'm gonna just pull it out for you guys. I gotta send this out to Dak, because he wanted to read this. But
cool.
This is a phenomenal book right here. True Believer: The Rise and Fall of Stan Lee. And everybody says this is the hit piece.
Show it again. There you go. Oh yeah. Yep. I've seen it. Yep.
So everybody says this is the hit piece on Stan, and it is a hit piece on Stan. And the writer gets caught for misquoting Larry Lieber at one point.
Oh, really?
Like horribly like misquoted. All right. He kind of paints this picture that Larry and Stan didn't have a good relationship, and that Stan kind of treated Larry poorly. But I know people who were close with Stan and were close with Larry, and they were like, Larry loved Stan. It was his brother. But he basically said that at one point in this book, Stan took Larry out to lunch and told him how he made $250,000 on an investment. And Larry was like, well, I'm barely getting by. Why are you telling me all this? And that was it. So in the book, it says that Stan did that, right? But in the reality, it was Martin Goodman who did that, which sounded way more in character for Martin Goodman. So
yeah, sure.
And of course, there's the Stan versus Jack Kemp. Did Stan Lee create the Marvel Universe? I'll tell you what Stan Lee did. He made the Marvel Universe matter. Because if he didn't have the showmanship skills, which Jack Kirby, I love the guy, he's an incredible artist, there's no showmanship whatsoever. And when you can get up in front of people and say, our comics will electrocute you, that's not a sense of showmanship. He's a brilliant artist, but you're talking about two different skills here. Mm-hmm. This is a very different skill set. Showmanship is very different.
I think collaboration is so important. I mean, our lives are like that. We're based around that, regardless of, and again, we're back to this. Not this story, but it's a constant. If they weren't together at one point, we would never have.
We wouldn't have
got. It's irrelevant. It really is irrelevant. It really is.
I would not have a business right now.
Thank you.
Because
It's
what he has
it's important to see what the men's lives brought. It does. I don't mean that, but as far as the journey, again, we're back to the journey. You've got these two incredible people, and they both had parts to play in this. It's almost, for me, show the best of both of them. You know what I mean? Don't tear down the negatives and show the best of both of them.
I want to. That's why I brought this book out. I want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Because as I read this book, it was hard at times to see Stan Lee being berated and see the guy who stole the credit and who didn't give up the credit and who didn't do this. First off, Jack Kirby would be Jack Kirby if it wasn't for Stan. He wouldn't be Jack King Kirby. All right. So Stan gave the guy he stole all the credit for his nickname King, because he wanted to take all the credit and everything to himself. That's not, I don't, and Stan and Jack had a good relationship. They talked business all the time. This is just that kind of industry. It's not, you can't hold these grudges all the time. It's
right. It's not healthy. No,
it's not healthy, but you're not going to grow your business. Jack Kirby's he was a workhorse. You know, he had a lot.
Amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, anyway, let's get back to the point of the book. So this book here basically is the book that says, well, Stan didn't do all this stuff. And, you know, he just went, after he created the Marvel Universe, he went from failure to failure to failure. And you could look at it any way you want, because any comic creator, any comic characters he created after this, all the superheroes, were all flops. That's just the truth, right? But not all of them, but most of them were flops. But here's what this book doesn't take into account. It doesn't take into account the lives that Stan touched in his final years at conventions, including my own. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, there was a section in this book that recalls a point when he was in a lot of legal trouble, and that was exactly the time when I marched into Stan's office and told him, "Write the forward of my book, you idiot!" No, I never did that. Never did that. But that was the time when I went to Stan, and actually it was the complete opposite. I was like, "Please write the forward to my book."
I'm sure.
I'm just a poor little boy trying to get into this comic book world. But you know, again, Stan didn't have to help me.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, I've looked for endorsements from much bigger names in the comic book industry, and they've given me answers like, "I have my stuff published in too many places, so sorry. I don't know who you are. Sorry. Don't have time. Sorry." I get that. Okay. Stan, you think he had time? He was dealing with legal issues. And here's what he does. He sits me down in his office and he says, "Where's this going to appear?" I said, "It's going to appear in my book." He goes, "All right, here's my email address. I like your book. It's beautiful." And he wrote the forward to my book. And then we chit-chatted for 15 minutes. And he was just the kindest guy. And he told me this. He goes, "When you're doing what you love, it's not work, it's play." And that resonated with me. Mm-hmm. Another thing too is he was in a dark place in his life. You know, he's getting older. He's in immense legal huge legal trouble. Yep. Like yep. At that day, he could have been in a situation where he was just completely effed in the A this Saturday. But you know, we wouldn't have known that, right? Yeah. I wouldn't have known that until that book came out, right? And then I thought about it, and that only made me respect Stan more. And also, if the worst thing you could say about a guy is that he never gave up and he kept trying even though he failed, that's not such a bad way to go out. I'll tell you that. So I don't hate this book. I think it's a really well-written book. It's great to be to look at someone you admire and see how they're criticized. But don't forget to take into account that you have your experiences with that person. That we're all humans and we're all fallible and we all do stupid things.
And I've said this several times on my show. We're always a villain in someone's story. All of us are. I don't care who you are. We're always a villain in somebody's story. Each one of us have had, you know, and I try to base and I tell other people this too. Don't go by what happened with me and this person. Go by your experiences with that person. You know what I mean? I know books all have agendas. I get that, especially or biographies, whatever. But I'm glad that you see it in that type of view, because I think that that says a lot about you. It says a lot about the book itself too. You know, take it for what it is. I mean, a human being wrote it. So, I mean, that's awesome though. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And I know that you had a great experience with Stan, and I know that he did a lot of. interesting things. Mhm.
Here's the thing, it depends on who you talk to. I know some creators who had really bad experiences with Stan, and they're right too. He wasn't always perfect. He wasn't always easy to work for. He wasn't always easy to work with. He was
Yeah.
he was very demanding. He wanted things done right away.
Yeah.
He hated if he saw my office right now, he would go,
Yeah.
"Hey, you got way too much stuff here." But this whole environment of of success is only created when you have a vision and you know how to bring people together in order to make that vision a reality.
Yeah.
And Stan was around demanding people himself. I mean, his wife was very demanding. She lived a very extravagant lifestyle, and so does his daughter. I don't like how this book tries to air out the dirty laundry. It's unfortunate, and I don't think that was really. I don't think it was very considerate of his daughter, because regardless of anything, she's a human being who lost her father, and she had her relationship with him. You can't say that she didn't love him. And I'll tell you what, I met JC.
Mhm.
JC is a sweetheart to me. I have absolutely nothing but good things to say about JC. She loved her dad, and her dad loved her. When we were at LA Comic Con one year, Stan actually came to her booth, and I was actually across from JC. So Stan came, and there are all these people surrounding him and everything. And you think Stan wants to put himself out there like that? That is like the worst thing for him.
Sure.
Being in a frail state. Like, it's one thing if you get up on a stage, but when you're surrounded by a bunch of random people, you don't know what their intentions are. You don't know if someone's going to pull a knife out, because
Anything.
yeah. Look at John Lennon. He got whacked out in the park, right?
That's it, right?
He didn't know that
Just walking.
was going to happen. So you reach a point in your life, and it's nervous, but you know what? He didn't care. He came by to see his daughter. How was she doing? He was always very concerned about her well-being. And, the fact that the dirty laundry got aired out, that you got him in a moment when he was angry and he said something mean about his daughter, he said something mean here or there, that doesn't signify that he was a good or bad father. It just signifies that he was there. I'll tell you, if he was a bad father, he wouldn't have raised her. He would have left her on her own. And you can't do that either. He did things the way that he knew how to do them in the times that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes him a human being. And I'll tell you right now, 80 years from now, people are going to look back on, the way I did things, and not all of it's going to be seen in a great, tremendously amazing way. There's a lot of things I screw up. I screw up all the freaking time.
Yep.
I screw all kinds of things, folks.
Me too. But that makes us real. We're authentic. And, things are put in books to sell books. And that's something too. I mean, you have to look at it from a standpoint of, it's the shock factor, right? It's in this book. You should see what, it's the excitement of that. And it's too bad, because a lot of our society is built on that. These shocking tabloids or whatever, and that's, I don't know. I don't buy books for that reason. I buy books for, honestly, for entertainment. Maybe that's why they put all these things in this book. I don't know. But I think that it's good to see your perspective on it, because I think that there's a humanity to it. I mean, that's you, though. I expect that from you. I expect a couple things from you. And I expect the truth about how you pivoted in this mess, the truth how you're still doing it, the truth about how, what would you tell people that are in a situation that are still struggling? What would you tell them besides go with your gut? What would be something in a closing fashion for them in this pandemic at the end? Hopefully it's the end of the pandemic, but what would you tell them? I mean, what's your truth on it all?
If you say to someone, be open-minded, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Be more open-minded. I don't think that's the right thing to say here. But it's kind of that kind of philosophy, right? Think about what really matters to you, right? I thought, okay, I'm a writer. I should be writing. Well, I don't want to do freelance writing. I just, it's not my thing. I envision large productions that I manage. That's what I see. And when you kind of stick to what you really want to do, you think about what you want to do and think about how you can apply it in different ways. I would say the best thing to do is look to others. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do, and pay attention to it. That's the best advice I can give. Not be open, but find somebody. Like, who did I start with? I started with Brian Polito.
Mm-hmm.
I started with Tom Hutchinson from Big Dog Inc. Tom was doing what I wanted to do. And Tom is doing exactly what I want to do.
Yep.
So, I look at him, and he's a huge inspiration to me. So, if he's doing what I want to do, then I should kind of pay attention to what he's doing and how he's doing it right. I should ask him questions. I shouldn't be afraid to do it. I should become friends with him, see where I can help him and where he can help me.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Look at what you want to do and find somebody who is doing the same exact thing. The people you admire the most, you probably admire them because you want to be like them. Well, you're not going to be them, but you can be you could be a better version of yourself by paying attention to what they're doing and taking from it. If it wasn't for Stan Lee, I would not be here right now doing what I'm doing. Stan Lee was a huge inspiration because he was a showman. He was the showman, right? There was never a showman like Stan Lee in comics ever. Right. Now things are changed. He opened up he opened up the floodgates. Now there's another showman in comics is Bob Kane. Everybody always on Bob Kane. And Bob Kane was a piece of work. He wasn't the greatest guy in the world. We can look back on it and laugh now, but you couldn't laugh back on it while it was happening to Bill Finger, that he took all the credit for creating Batman, that he called every contributor that followed him his ghost. And that's not right. But Bob Kane was a showman, and part of comics and comics growth is being a showman. And we do this for other creators now too. We take our platform and we're doing that. The next step is for us to actually help other creators find ways to bring out the showman in themselves. Yeah. So Kevin and I we're working on we're going to be basically opening up our own kind of like virtual dojo, so to speak. Oh, excellent. Folks will be able to come to us when they need to, of course, and they can constantly keep working with us on a monthly basis. And we're going to teach you the skills you need, not to do what we're doing exactly the way we're doing it, but how to bring out the confidence in yourselves. And it all starts with your comics production. Like, are you confident in what you put out there? Do you believe? And I'll give you a great example. Let's talk about Joe McPhee. Joe McPhee. He was on my show, Virtual Signings with Onrie, the other day. He put out this outstanding book called Amazonian.
Yep. And Jody. Yep. I'm going to be on his show soon. So yeah, on the May 1st. So
that's excellent. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Thanks. And Joe is doing phenomenal stuff. The one thing I got to say about Joe that I really, really admire is his tenacity.
Yeah.
We're both doing this. We've both been in the business for the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. Doing our own things, and we didn't really connect as much. I remember purchasing his books from him when I saw him at a comic shop because he was doing a signing, and I just happened to be at the comic book shop the same day, and I picked up his books because I saw that he really cared about what he was doing. And I looked at the art for the books, and he had drawn everything and he had done everything himself. When he initially came on the show, he was saying that he should stop comparing himself to D-level artists. And I don't even know why he said that, because if he had never said it, I wouldn't have even thought about saying it. But I could feel this sense of sort of reservation in himself or what he had done. And as I started talking to him, I kind of understood why, because Joe is a writer. He's teaching himself to draw, and he's putting himself out there so that he can get his story told. That's a very, very hard thing to do. I don't think anybody can really grasp how difficult that is.
It's impossible. I'm an artist first. I tell stories through my art, and boy, I can't even fathom that.
Imagine if you just started writing longhand. It's the same thing. It's very difficult to just to do that. But Joe not only went forward with it, he actually went back at one point and redrew his first issue.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Now, let's just talk about that for a second. Someone tells you your book needs to be redrawn, the first issue. If you would have told me that I needed to redraw Yushin Shin #1, I would have told you to go
jump. Yeah. Or something.
Right. It would never happen because I invested time, money, all that stuff. So did Joe. So did Joe. But did Joe throw up his hands and say, no, I'm not doing that? He went back and he redid it, and then he moved forward. And he saved it, and he was on the verge of quitting that project altogether. But instead, he went in and he did it, and he made it work. It's extremely impressive.
Well, it shows you his commitment, not only to his art, but to his, to the storytelling. And that's
absolutely.
Who is he going to inspire in the years to come because of that? That's the power. That's the power, Joe. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, Ted. He's inspired me. And Joe and I have a mission right now. Our mission is to sell out of his books so that we can get as many of them out there as possible.
Awesome.
And we're Hunter Killer Collectibles is always going to be stocking Amazonia and anything that comes out of Synergy Studios. So we are firmly behind Mr. McPhee and everything that he's doing. He's been a huge patron for us, and we're finally in a position where we can give back to him.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So everybody listen up on that. That's great. And they can now, is that going to be on a live bid, or is it something?
Anytime you want to buy anything from Exigency Studios, you either message myself or Joe, and one of us will take care of you. But we got books in stock right now, so anybody who's interested. What I find most inspiring about this is the steps that he took to keep this book out there and to keep doing it. And maybe in his mind, it's not the flashiest book, but every time he sells it to that person he sells it to, it becomes the flashiest book.
Yeah.
And once he got that, he started pitching it differently, and people were buying it. And that's the kind of thing that we want to help creators do, is find a level of confidence, because if Joe didn't believe in what he was doing, he wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wouldn't be working on his 7th issue right now. He wouldn't be pushing it. And I believe in Joe. I think he's great. And I think by the time he's done with everything, he will have developed his own unique style that no one else will have, because it'll only be Joe's.
That's awesome.
It will belong to him. And that's an amazing thing, because I know as an artist, I don't have a style. I draw stick figures having
it's hard to have a style. It's hard. Yeah. You don't realize.
Especially as a writer. Again, it's not just a simple magical thing. It's very, very hard. And on top of that, he's writing, he's doing everything.
Yeah.
If Joe and he's coloring the books too. So there's and the expenses this guy accumulates simply to put his book out there is very high. I mean, like when he goes and he does conventions, he's buying premier spots to showcase and everything. He's not even worried about making money at the shows. He's just worried about giving that one person, selling that one more comic out there. That's commitment. That puts him up on the same level as everybody else.
Yeah.
That alone. And I'm telling you, by the time he finishes everything that he's doing with his career or whatever, he will have his own definitive art style.
Yeah.
And look at South Park. What is South Park known for having, like,
that's right.
Or anything like that?
Yeah.
Even in those shows, you had trained artists come in and draw like that. You got a writer here drawing his own story and making it work, learning perspective, learning all these things by hand, and willing to put yourself out there. It's a very hard thing to do. So
sure.
That already makes the book valuable.
It says a lot to me too about you as a business owner, and you are a rising tide. I know that Brian is always talking about you too in a good way, and I think that that says everything about you. So when people are looking to purchase comics and to invest in a company that does give back, I mean, you're it, Onrie. I mean, that's it. There's no other. I think that you should you should be very proud of that. I think that people have to see you, and that's one of the reasons why you're on TED Talks, because I know who you are. I knew who you were when I first met you, and I really have gotten to consider you a friend. And when I saw the video that you had on YouTube a few weeks ago, about your journey of coming back to the, to the circuit, so to speak. And, I messaged you right away because I'm like, I said, that's exactly, I knew that you were coming back, but to see you do that and then actually put it into film and get it onto YouTube, I'm like, that's it. That's, and that's really why I wanted you on. I wanted you to really, make a statement that to you and to everybody that's listening right now and watching, that this is one of the people that I go to for inspiration as well. Onrie, I know that he's a great creator, but he's also a creative that cares about other creatives, and that's money's a byproduct that we all need to survive, but it is not the product that Onrie is in search of constantly. So that's the rub of it all, and that's a good thing.
I'm constantly in search of more Spawn and Wonder Woman books, but other than that, that's I search for everything else.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so in closing, what's where can everybody reach you? What's the where's everybody meeting you and everything else this year?
Pornhub.com.
And what's the site on that?
I have to stand on that. All right. So anybody who is interested in following me, friend me on Facebook. Just do that, or follow my my YouTube channel, Onrie Kompan. It's just right there. There's.
Yep. He's part of Ted's tribe too, so you guys get on my site if there's anything, or friends, whatever.
It's here. It's like, whoa. All right. But anyway, here you go.
There you go.
Just type this name in on Facebook, friend me, and I will be on the Comic Book Shopping Network in exactly 2 hours and 10 minutes, slinging comics. I'm going to have all kinds of stuff this afternoon. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to be diving through my warehouse, building out long boxes, and we're gonna go through some new stuff that I haven't shown yet.
Cool.
And yeah, you can pick up Yisun Shin on there. I'll sign your books for you live on the show. Friending me on Facebook is the best thing. That's the best way for us to stay connected. You could also give a like to our company page, Hunter Killer Collectibles, and yeah, we would really appreciate that too. We're constantly building up that page. If you're interested in buying Yisun Shin remotely and not necessarily through a live stream, you can go to www.yisunshin.com. So that's YISOONSHIN.com. And you can also go to Hunter Killer Collectibles website. It's HK, you know that minus sign between X and men. So it's HK-collectibles.com. And we got some comics up there. We got pretty much everything in my catalog, and some other bundles that we put together. We haven't really given our website the TLC it deserves. We're working on that because it's just me and Kevin right now. We're looking to get we're looking for more staff. So pretty soon we'll hire someone. They'll help us build out our website, and we'll be able to really show you guys what we really have in inventory. And trust me, it's a lot of stuff.
It's it's always great hearing you. I'm so glad that you're doing well. I'm glad that your family's healthy. I'm glad you're healthy.
Thanks. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
It means a lot to me too that you're doing well. I hate to see people that I appreciate and everything else going through hard times, and then, but I'm just glad it's working out for you. And then, you guys, like I said, support Onrie. Thank you for backing my Kickstarter, man. We'll get that.
I haven't done it yet because
we'll get that link for you.
Yeah,
well, Lisa's going to be taking that together.
Lisa, please reach out to me. I do want to be a part of the campaign. I do want to support Ted on the dealer level, and let's see what we can do about it.
Sounds good. And I'll do a virtual signing anytime. Just let me know. Let's get the books out. And everybody, check out what you're doing this afternoon. I'll be sharing it on my pages today, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Hang around for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so now you guys know Onrie a little bit better than you did a year ago when I had him on. I'm going to probably have him on twice a year because he's just an awesome guy. Real quick, if you guys have time, please check out my Kickstarter. Let's do the video real quick before we go.
I was invisible until she saw me. No, really. I've been floating around this cemetery for years. I guess my origins, or my beginnings, as it were, should be my start to this tale. Unfortunately, I recall only this place, and from where I come from, well, that's anyone's guess. This relic of a book is a cruel guide, Grim 101. What a terrible title for such a dreadful manual of despair. I cannot believe that I would have taken such a supernatural vocation. But a duty is a mistress in this solitude of eternal watching. I have been a mere observer, at best, for more than 150 years.
Yeah, and you can check that out on Kickstarter under Ted Davies Artistry, Grim 101. Thanks for everybody that has helped me out with that campaign and funding it and sharing it out and everything else. Thank you guys for stopping in TED Talks. No envy, no fear. Have a great work week. Be safe. We'll see you Thursday on TED Talks Timepieces, and then again on Friday with a dirty martini on Drinking with the Davies. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a great day.